Groove Builders, welcome to the workbench. We have our Metal Alert Speederbike and some really awesome Star Wars packaging. And take a look at all this detail here. I wonder how small some of that's going to be. Let's go ahead and take a look at the back. On the back we have a difficulty rating here of just over medium. And then right below that we have some instructions on how to build our model. On the left hand side here is a QR code which we can scan to get a 360 look at our build as we're putting little bits of detail onto it. This is very helpful. And finally at the bottom, we get a look at some other models in this series. Groovers, let's go ahead and open up our package. We have our instructions. And we have our metal. Looks just like two sheets. But look at all these parts. Alright Groovers, let's go ahead and get out our first couple of pieces. And there we go. We have all of our parts needed for that first page of building. Now the first thing we're going to be doing is grabbing part 2 and bringing over part 1. Most of the parts on our first page here are all bent very similar to each other. They all have boxes. And what I mean by that is we're going to be going to the borders of our pieces, like this piece right here. And we're bending them straight down. Go other side, same thing, bend it straight down. And these edges here, we bend them down, and then we're just going to curve the edge in. Same thing with the other side. We're going to curve that edge in. Now, if you really want to, what you can do is you can actually curve the edge first, and then bend the center pieces. That's a really easy way of doing this as well. Now I'm going to bend a couple of these on camera, and for the most part, I'm actually going to skip the secondary piece just because it's a lot of repetition and I want to keep this interesting too. Okay, there's our first piece bent, and now I'm going to bend another one of these. See how fast I bent that one? I think it was great. Okay, now we have both of these guys bent. What we're going to do is we're going to add them on to our part 1 here. Now the key thing is you want to orientate this piece to what you see on the instructions, so just like that. And we're going to grab the pieces we just bent. Now if you take the tabs and slightly bend one in a little bit and keep the other one straight, it'll make your life a lot easier when installing this. If you look at the piece here, you can actually see where it goes because the part that we bent is kind of etched already in there. There we go. Let me see here. And I'm going to do different ways of twisting. If I bend one left, I'm going to bend the other one right. I'm having a hard time talking today. Okay, let's install the other one. Okay. Awesome. Now I'm going to straighten these up a little bit just to get that detail there nice and straight. All right. There we go. Our first piece nice and complete. Now we got to move on to adding parts 3 on here. Part 3 is bent a little bit differently, although you are again just matching up the pieces to its borders. Whoops. Be very careful here not to send your pieces flying, especially this small. These would be hard to find in a carpet. And if you've watched this show for any amount of time, you know that's a very big possibility. Now, for time reasons, I'm going to go ahead and bend the other pieces as well, and then we'll install them one at a time. So there's our third piece there. Let's grab part 4. Again, part 4, same way. All we're doing is just bending all of these things down here, and we're going to match the edges. No gaps. Okay, part 5. Now part 5, it's just a matter of bending this top piece down here. Be careful not to bend these wires. Here. Push it all together, make it look nice and flush. Awesome, part 5. Now we can connect everything to part 1. Okay. Let's grab our little bits of detail here first. Now again, looking at the pieces, you can actually see how it's supposed to go in. So we're just going to follow that same pattern. And we are going to go in order as we see on the sheet. just because sometimes these pieces can overlap with their detail, and if you go out of order, you might find yourself in a really hard spot. Did I miss that? Yeah, I did. Okay, that would explain why that piece is not going in. There's a little, well, on both sides, there's little teeth here on part 3 that I didn't see I had to bend. So I'm going to push those in like that, and that will allow me to install that piece now. And I'm assuming the same thing on the other side here, so we're going to go ahead and just push those in. There we go. That detail makes a lot more sense now. Okay, now watch how easily this goes in. Boom. See? Sometimes you just gotta take a second look at stuff. From the tabs, if you will. Alright, and there we go. We got our first part kind of built. Now we get to bend these sides up. What I'm going to do is going to grab the detail right where it's supposed to, and right in the side here. I'm just going to make that 90 degrees, or as best I can to 90 degrees. Same thing with the other side. Grabbing the detail in the middle, and then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm using my thumb to kind of push off of. Now it says to twist these, so I'm going to do that. I might come back later and bend these tabs over, but I'm not too sure what's going to go on here, how flush it needs to be. So we're going to follow the instructions for right now. Let's move on to part 6 here. Now part 6, same kind of a dealy thing. We're going to bend the sides first because we're going to use the side to help us know how much we need to bend the part. And we're going to grab this little guy here. There we go. Okay, there's part 6, nice and bent. Very simple to do. Again, just follow those borders. So far, all this detail has been exactly the same. Just keep following those borders and you should be fine. Now let's go here. This installs on the bottom. Tab bending tool. Okay, now I can get in this difficult spot down here. Give a nice little twist. Same thing with the other side here. Alright, there we go. Nice and secure. Now we're just going to push that little front end there in. There we go. Alright, that looks really nice. And we're also going to bring this stair down, make that nice and flush, because you want that really nice 90-degree bend. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Alright, let's put this to the side. Part 7, the first thing we're going to be doing is bending a box. So just like this. And we're going to bring that little bit of detail over here. Bring her down. Boom. Right on. Good little box. And now we're going to make ourselves a dome shape. And I'm going to use my mandrels to help me with that. I'm going to go right to here first. I think that's a good size. And I'm going to roll this piece as best I can, trying not to bend any other pieces in the process. I'm actually going to use the smaller part first, maybe, and work my way up. Just because I want this to bend properly. Okay, there we go. Now you can see how this piece right here is not fully bent yet. So I'm going to go one size bigger, and I'm going to press really hard on it, just like this. Okay, I'm going to press on this tab like this, locking her into place. There we go. Now when it comes to making cylinders, you always want to start on the bigger side here to get a nice form, and then work your way to get something smaller to bring it to the right size. This makes a really nice rounded shape, as you can see here. If you were to kind of rush it and try to go the smallest size first, you'll have hot spots in the metal that aren't necessarily fully rounded. Okay, now that we have this shape here, we can move on to the next step, which has us adding on part 8 and 9. And let's see how if we can do this one. This is a cone shape. Should be very interesting. Part 8 here. You know, the first thing I think I'm going to do here is I'm going to make a cylinder. And I'm going to do that with this mandrel, which is a little smaller. Now what we're going to do is take this piece here. Again, going from a bigger side, we're going to do our best to kind of keep this piece in line. You don't want it to get warped. And we're going to just shape the piece just like that. If you need to, you can bring in your handy dandy pliers to kind of give you a nice little hand. And when you get to the nice size, you can keep rounding it out. Oh, I keep dropping these guys. I'm gonna have to make my gloves a little tighter here. Okay, let's bend this little cap over now. There we go. All right. That right there, just a little bit more rounding there. There we go. Okay, that's part 8. Now let's grab part 9. Okay, now this part here needs a cone, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my friend here, Animate Orange's tool, to help me with that. It's a nice little coning tool. And it's pretty much the perfect size. That's awesome. Okay, push that out. Great. All right, that actually worked extremely well. Thank you, Animate Orange. All right, cool. I like it. 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 I like it a lot. I'm gonna put that down now. And what I'm going to do is add that little bit of detail that we just formed. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to secure these tabs. Now I'm going to secure these tabs with my tab bending tool. I like this tool a lot, especially when I'm getting finicky pieces. It just really makes sure things are on. Pushed her in. All right, awesome. That's some great stuff right there. Now I'm going to actually kind of help round that out a little bit there too. Now this little piece here gets added on to the bottom half. As you can see, it has like a little bit of a rope. We're gonna put that, or a little bit of a circle here. A rope. Where's a rope here? There's no rope here. The little circle here on the backhand side, we're gonna place this in. Now, these we're going to need to bend. We're going to bend them 90 degrees, or do our best to bend them 90 degrees. Do a nice little twist. Another twist. Boom! Cool. Bend it down. Awesome. I want to bend it a little bit more here so that it wants to stay closed. I'm going to really press on that for a second, and that should make it want to, there you go, stay in the right spot. That looks really cool. That layered detail does really add something. Even though it's only 3 parts, it does look pretty neat, right? Okay, let's move on to our next step, which has us actually adding part 10 onto this to make it even more longer. Now with part 10, just like before, we're just matching up those fold lines there, and that's where we're going to bend these pieces. Fold lines, banging them right up 90 degrees. Fold lines, bend them up 90 degrees. Cool. Nice and square. Awesome. Now this little piece here gets added just above the detail we added before. Okay. That. You will go in. Now this guy is also done with the twist, so we're gonna do the same thing. Do a nice twist. Twist. Which is in there. Awesome. All right, next piece. We need part 11. Right here. Part 11, guess what? Another box. Very simple stuff. And this one here goes just above the other one. All right, do a twist. And another twist. Cool. All right. I'm just gonna make more of a 90 there. I like it. It looks good. Okay, and now with part 11 attached, we need to actually start bending this thing a little bit more. And this part here can be a little bit confusing in the instructions. As you can see, I can barely hold on to pieces. So the first thing we're going to be doing is kind of matching up these parts here at the back. Now we're going to be making one big tube here, and so we're going to start committing to these bends. I know it's scary, but don't worry. Disorderly cones here holding your hand. There's our first one connected. Now we're going to do the same thing with this side here. And as we do this, we're going to connect this circle here to this tab. Ooh, look at that. Now this guy here, I don't care. It's getting bent down. I don't care if it tells me to twist it. We're bending it down. Neat. And that actually worked out really well. I'm really impressed. All right. Everything looks good here. Now I'll do one more. No, I'm kidding. I don't think we're doing another one. I hope not. Okay, now that we got that done up, we got to actually bend this little piece here over. So we're going to do that now, like that. And we're going to leave him just like that. Awesome. And I think we're good. I think we're good with this little piece. Now we can attach it onto that one we formed earlier. Now it's very important when we're doing this that we're connecting the right side. So we're going to push this right in to here where the wires are dangling. I'm going to use my tab bending tool to help me with this one. Okay, there we go. All matched up, looking pretty cool, looking pretty cool. I mean, I think it looks cool. All right, let's put this down now. We need to grab part 12. And part 12 has us bending a cylinder. Same thing as before, let's use our man drill here. I'm gonna go ahead and skip to where I have this being taken off the drill. There we go. Pretty easy cylinder to do. Now, one thing we're not going to do though yet is we're not going to close it because we got another thing to form, which is part 13. Has a little bit of a cylinder and the top part is coned. So we're going to need a little bit of love with this piece here. Yeah, I'm thinking that will do. My tab bending tool here actually might be the perfect tool here to help me get what the shape I need and also the coning shape I need. I love that when that works out like that. That's cool. Nice. Now what I'm going to do is, of course, go over to my man drill and finish this off a little bit. You know, a toothpick would be really good for this right here if I really wanted to get a nice size. I don't know if I have anything really small enough. Okay, I'm going to bring this over now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make several small bends. If you don't have a tool that will help you with this, you can follow my method as well. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go right to the edge after I've gotten a nice shape all the way around, and I'm going to use multiple bends to get what I want. I'm not going to commit one big bend because by doing that, I run the risk of actually misshaping the part. Now, I get to a certain point, and I'm going to really bend one side more than the other. And when I connect them together, they should push together almost evenly, and that will give us a really nice circular shape. Look at that. See? That's a really nice circular shape, and that was done without a tool, except to kind of get that really nice start. You don't always need a forming tool, but they are really nice to have. Same thing up here. We're going to do a little bit more on one side than the other, and you'll be able to get a really nice shape here. See? All right. I like this. I like this a lot. Now, this, of course, now gets attached onto here. That's the bigger piece at the bottom. Now, I'm a big fan of trying to get these things as center as possible. And this is where you need to make those little adjustments to get that. All right, that looks pretty well shaped. I think we can go ahead and move on to our next piece here, which actually has us adding this onto here. This piece here gets snuck right in here. Awesome. Look at that. All right, this is looking very steampunky at this point. Okay, we put that on. Part 14. I know I'm getting excited over silly bits of detail, but I'm excited for where this goes. I'll be honest with you. You know, my favorite ship, I think, in Star Wars is the A-Wing. Or the B-Wing would be another close second, followed by the Y-Wing. I really like the Naboo fighters, too. They're another one that's kind of like a one you don't want to say out loud too much, but they're really cool. I wish Metal Lift would do one, because I think they would translate well. I mean, I think they would look pretty sweet. Especially with the new paint jobs they've been rocking lately. It'd be awesome. Now this guy here is a little bit more difficult. You want to make sure that the non-engraved side is going on the part you don't see. So it's going to go like this on. Well, I will say that getting all these guys in together is a little bit difficult. It's just requiring some manipulation, but we're getting there. Being hard on this a little bit. Oh, okay, there we go. Awesome. I'm gonna go ahead and just really tighten these all down before they fall out. That's the last thing I want happening right now. Nice little twists. You get a twist, and you get a twist, and you get a bend, and you get a bend. Oh boy. If it's how I'm like already, this might be a long build. There we go. And we formed our box. It's a pretty box. Let's move on to part 15. Oops. Part 15 here. Okay, part 15. Woo! Now, part 15 gets bent in sections. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to bend like this. And then we're going to bring the side up 90, okay? So there's actually a step to this. You're gonna kind of give it a little bit of a bend almost, but the most important part is this part needs to be 90, okay? Same thing with this side here. My suggestion, go right to this tip, start your bend, and then go about halfway, do a little more, and then the last part, 90. A little bit more sometimes to get that nice thing, and you should get that. There you go. See? Nice and rounded. Looks pretty. I hope I described that well enough. It's not always the easiest thing to do, it's not the easiest thing to say and describe. It's really not that easy to do and describe at the same time sometimes. All right, bring this together. And we're going to lock this into place. Just like this. Lock her into place. Awesome. Now with that done, we move on to the last piece of our page, part 16. And part 16 is kind of done in a really weird kind of cage design. So the first thing we're going to be doing here is bending that inward, just like that. Bang these guys in. Bend them in. All right. Now that we've done that, you can see inside we have something very similar to what we've already had. But what I don't want to do is misbend this. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to actually install one side first and wrap her around. Now, this might be a mistake. I'm saying ahead of time. Sometimes you actually are better to form the piece outside first before connecting. But in this case, I'm going to give her a go. Okay. Nice little twist. And now what we're going to do, just to even out the piece here, we're going to go like this, and we're going to press on it. Whoops. Not too much. Woo-hoo-hoo. Not too much, team. Not too much. Not too much. Woo. That wasn't good. That was not good. All right, we're good now, though. Okay, now don't let the piece do all the work either, though. You got to be in there, too. So we're going to use our tweezers, and we're going to go right to those lines that we can see. And again, we're going to bend them, and we're going to bend every one of those lines that we can. And that should allow us to get a really nice installation. Look at that. That was beautiful. Couldn't have asked for a better piece to go in right there. And you, same thing with the other side. We're just gonna do that. All right, there we go. Doesn't that look cool? I don't know. I think it looks kind of neat. I think we did a good job. Yes, I said jorb. Now that we have this though done, we need to move on to the next page, and that means more parts. All right, the cutters are away, and we have all of our parts needed for our second page of building. Now what we need is part 17 here, and this one looks like a bit of a doozy. First thing we're going to do is flip it over to the non-engraved side, and then we're going to start bending all of these tabs up on the outside and bringing them up just right 90 degrees. Now the metal here is going to be thin. It's going to be thin. So you might need 2 pairs of tweezers to be able to do the majority of this. If you don't have 2 pairs of tweezers, you can always just use your pliers. Those can be helpful. Okay. Now, these guys here are going to get bent just a little bit. I'm just going to kind of just give them a little suggestion. That's all. Same thing with this side here. We're going to give them a little suggestion. Nothing big, just a little one. And now what we're going to do is we're also going to pull these bottom tabs up again. Same thing, bring them 90 degrees. It's on either side. Once you've bent those center pieces a little bit, it makes it a lot easier to get to these guys. There we go. Same thing here, just like that. All right, I think that looks pretty good. Now what I'm going to do is kind of do one of these little things. That. And I'm going to try my best to round these edges, and that will hopefully give me the look I'm looking for. That. There we go. Awesome. That's part 17, kind of formed. I'm going to need to do a little bit more, but for right now, I'm going to call it formed. Let's move on to part 18 here. Oops, part 18. Part 18, what we're going to do is have the engraved side here. Now, part 18 is going to be the insert for this part here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to use it to the best of my ability to get that properly bent. I'm just going to try to case it out a little bit, see how this actually goes in here. Okay, I think I got it. I think I have it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bend this guy a little bit. And I'm going to bend this guy here a little bit. And now I'm going to connect the two together. Securing these guys here on the inside. Woo! Alrighty. Looks pretty good if you ask me. I think I did a pretty good job. Alright. Now with this connected, we need to move on to our next step, which has us, of course, bending. Alright, I think that actually looks pretty good. Now we need to add the box that we built earlier on. And this guy here, I believe, goes something like this. So same thing we did last time. I'm going to connect one side here first. Huh. Okay, it actually goes this way. So we're going to go like this. I'm going to secure these guys down. Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Now, once we get the pedals on here, these guys will look a lot better too. But right now, this looks fine. It's going to look even better when everything is even more connected than it is now. All right, let's start adding those pedals on by putting on part 19. Now, part 19 is this guy right here. Now, before we actually put the pieces on, what we're going to do is we're going to take this little bar here and we're going to pull that up. It's kind of like the pedal, or it's kind of like the foot holder, if you will. And the part 19 here is going to go on the right side. Give a little twist. And these pedals are so easy to deform by mistake. Okay, now we're going to take this little bit of detail here and put it into the hole, just like that. And all right, we're nice and secured. Great, we got our pedals all done. Now we need to attach this to the main body here. Let's see here. Now I want to make sure that the open half is, of course, to the top. I'm going to go left then right. Haha. Awesome. All right. I think that looks so cool. It's really starting to come along and look like the Speederbike, but we have a lot more smaller detail to do. So let's go ahead and put this to the side now that we have it attached and start working on part 21, which has us basically attaching, it has us making a whole bunch of half circles, but what we're going to do, our little moon shapes, is we're just basically bending the borders and again, attaching those sides. When you're going around the side here, all you're doing is making sure that all of the detail matches up and that all of the borders are, of course, in line. There's our first piece. Do the same thing with the second side here. Okay, and there's the other part 21. Now we're going to grab part 22 right here. And we're going to flip it to the non-engraved side. And we're going to install these guys. Now, what I'm going to do here is telling me to do a twist. I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'm going to bend these flush. Awesome. Pretty simple to do, just attaching some basic detail. Now we need to grab part 23. This one has a lot more holes into it. It might be a little bit more complicated than part 21, but we're going to go ahead and fast forward here after I do the first one to where we have the other one already complete. So again, just kind of following the rules here. We're bending these down. Awesome. Now these ones are installed actually just beside the ones we just did. Installed right beside part 21. These guys here I am going to twist. I want to see what happens. I don't want to smush them together, but I do want them to be kind of in line. All right, those two now have been installed, and these guys go on the back here. Interesting. There we go. That bottom tab went in really easily. Now what we're going to do is secure these with a nice twist. So again, just a nice little twist. I think all of this is going to be hidden anyway, so it's not really that big of a deal if you twist or bend it. Twists are pretty good ways, though, of securing your tabs. All right, let's move on to part 24 now. Put that right there. Part 24, small piece of detail. But again, just bending the sides, pretty simple. Okay. And now that goes there. Let's grab part 25 here. And what we're going to do is we're going to insert that into part 25. Now these ones are bent, so we're going to follow the instructions here on that. And now what we're going to do is we're going to bend this all back. All of that little detail around the corners, all of it. This one has a very, very small rim all the way around. And then we grab part 26 and we're going to place these two together. Okay, here, match these guys up. Ow! My fingers. All right, there we go. And now what I'm going to do, all right, and now we're going to just flatten these, flatten that guy, flatten that guy. There we go. Very neat. Now these ones here are bent a little bit differently. You gotta have to follow the little curve they make. And again, To get a nice curve, you really want to use as many bends as possible to make sure that all the metal is completely bent. Just like that. Looking good. Same thing on the other side. Get right in the middle. Really good form. Look at that. Like professional almost. Almost professional. Alright. Now we get to attach this onto our back end here. I drop things and it's annoying. I'm really worried about accidentally squishing some of the detail that I've already put onto here, and I might have to go back and do some work on this just to kind of get everything where I like it. I really don't want to have these guys misshapen too much, and it already seems like this little bit of detail here is not necessarily the way I want it to be. But I'm going to go ahead and push forward a little bit more and see what we do. Alright, I think that now I got into this part, I'm going to have to start moving these guys back. Just like this. This feels horrible. Ugh, I did it. There we go. Whew, I don't like that, but hey, it's done now. We're good. Alright, put this down. Now what we need to do is move on to part 27 here. Now this again is a very skinny part, so let's use the table here to help us kind of bend this. I'm going to flip it over to the non-engraved side. I'm going to orientate it to our little piece of instructions that we have there. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab that little piece here, and I'm going to try to get as close to the bend line as possible. There we go. Now you could also do this with two tools like I did earlier, like say a pair of pliers and tweezers. You can do that same thing. There we go. No warping. That's what we want to see. All right. Now we can grab part 28 over here, and we got to bend one of these guys right here. We're actually bending two of these, and we're just going to bend all of this detail here again, doing our best to try to make sure it matches the side. Now the first bit of detail that we're adding goes right on top. Pretty simple. Again, you see that etching, and you can actually match that etching. Again, this one's bent flat. There we go. And now what we're going to do is we're going to grab these two parts right here. Part 28 again. Same thing as last time. Bend them down all the way around. Grab this guy here. It's part 29. We're going to install part 28 onto it. Bend these guys flat again. And now we're going to go around and we're going to bend all of these edges. And again, we're going to do our best to follow the borders at the top of the piece. We really want this to look nice. Okay, and now our little creation here goes on the underside here. This would be where the color is. Now these ones are bent flat as well. I'm going to try to do that. Let's see how close I can get here. Well, how am I supposed to bend this one flat? There's my flat bend. Silly. Okay, and with that last piece connected, we actually need more parts. Okay, the cutters are away, and we only have 5 pieces for this page, but I think we're going to have some difficulty with it. Let's grab part 30, and just like before, we're going to flip it, just like that. And now what we're going to do is we're going to pick up all the sides. So the first thing I'm going to do is just going to grab this guy right here, boom. Go to the other side, same thing, boom. Here's my handy dandy flat guys. Just like my duck tweezers. Have you ever seen those people with duck nails? That to me blows my mind. I don't think that's real. I don't think there's anyone out there that would seriously get those and think that they're nice looking. More for the meme. Alright. Okay, I think everything is lining up there quite nicely. Now I'm going to bend this detail down here on the front. These little guys here are kind of hard to get, and I don't really have... these little guys here are kind of hard to get. I'm just going to use my little tab bending tool to help me out with that, and it worked really well too. Okay. Now the major thing is kind of matching the bend with these two guys. Right now this is fine, but later on down the road we're going to play with them a little bit, get them nice and evened out. But right now this looks really good. So let's go ahead and grab the piece we were working on from the last page. And this all comes together. Okay, nice and connected. I think that looks pretty good. I know I'm supposed to twist these back ones here. I end up bending them. I think we're going to be okay with doing that. We'll see a little bit later on. Let's move on to the next step here, which is part 31. Here we go. These are going to be, I guess, the upper part here of the front. Okay, now at part 31, we got to do some forming here. I'm going to start with this back area. Very similar to what we've done before, just kind of round these tips off. Make sure everything looks really nice. Okay, now this is the kind of the hard part here. What we're going to do is we're going to take, looking at this, you're going to do your best to match this up and try to keep these guys a little bit separate. What we're going to do is we're going to grab right here at the base and we're going to bend up. And then we're going to bend this guy back down. Okay, and once that side looks good, we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Like this. And back down. Kind of straighten this out a little bit more. Okay, I think I'm pretty happy with that. I think I might have to do some forming in a little bit here to try to get everything together better. And I think I might have to do that right now. Let's see how everything comes together by me adding this on top. Make her flat. Awesome. That looks great. Okay, that was way easier than I thought it was going to be totally honest with you. Let's grab part 32. Or I should say the tab on the piece is facing the bottom here. Okay. Do a quick little twist on all these. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Attach these guys together too. Great. It looks so neat. The more this comes together, the more I'm really starting to enjoy what this is becoming. All right, put that down for now. We're gonna move on to part 33. And again, we have a lot of pieces that we need to kind of form. So what we're going to do is orientate it to the actual picture on the instructions. And we're going to start bending all the tabs. We're going to start bending all the pieces where they need to go. Now, there's a lot of really tiny ones on here. So again, I'm going to have to probably end up using 2 tweezers to do this right. Man. These guys are small. There we go. All right, now these are a big flat piece. Can you do these ones too? I mean, yeah, you can. You did a good job. I wonder what these are called. 34As? That's a horrible name. We need to give you a better name. If you're watching this video, comment down below what I should call this tweezer in the future. Your tools should all have names. I just talked up these tweezers, and here they are, not really working for me that well. I mean, I did get it, so I can't complain too much, but man, that was not easy. The grabbing these little bits of metal sometimes on these pieces can be difficult. I guess that's where the difficulty in this model kind of lies, is in the small pieces you're dealing with and kind of the weird shapings you're having to do. Nevertheless, we finished it. Could you imagine doing this on the engraved side and having to go back? Ooh. Ooh. Alrighty. Now what we're going to do, this is the engraved side here. Again, orientating it to the picture on the instructions. Orientating everything to the picture in the instructions. We're going to put these guys together. Just like this. Ooh, ha, ha, ha. And let's do it. Okay, those are pretty simple to connect. Looking nice too. Now this goes on the front. I have the one side here. I'm just trying to get the other side. Hey! All right, now let's go ahead and connect these again, all with twists. Boom. Boom and boom. Not bad. Now these guys get tucked under. Like that. All right. Okay, and now with this on here and secured and looking pretty straight, I don't know how a hair got in there, we are now going to add the last piece of our page, part 35, and it's very important that we put the non-engraved side at the top. Now, I'm going to see if I can get everything to line up here. I've done a pretty good job so far of getting everything to be on the money when it comes to being, well, almost on the money when it comes to being lined up. Just a little bit of a switcheroony there. We got her in. Okay, now these guys are secured with a nice twist. Cool. All right, there we go. All of our parts on. Now we need more of them. Okay, the cutters are away. Let's go ahead and grab parts 36 here. Now 36, we're going to be adding parts to this one. So what we're going to need to do is actually take these guys here and bend them down. Now these are thick enough where we shouldn't need any other tweezers, but you might need them depending on how strong your tweezers are. Okay, I'm actually going to use the other ones here. These might be better for this scenario. Okay, now those have been properly shaped. We need to get the little bits of detail that we're going to be putting onto each side. Now these are marked parts 37 and 38, and they are different. So you need to keep them separate, or else you might get a little bit confused. I have part 37 here, and what I'm going to do is just going to slightly bend this up, just like that. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to this section right here. And this should just perfectly fit right in there. And it does. And now what we're going to do is just secure it. Awesome. Okay, there we go. Our 2 bits of detail added on. Looking pretty snazzy, if I do say so myself. Looking pretty snazzy. Now we get to have a little bit more fun. We get to do the big bends here. And yeah, let's go ahead and start doing that. What I'm going to do is use my fingers to kind of try to match the borderline here. And I'm doing it slowly. And I am bending this ever so slightly. Again, I'm using a lot of small bends to get what I want here. Just like that. And what I'm doing is I'm actually following right here, this little border, and I'm using that as my guide, and I'm going to almost... I'm trying my best to keep that in line. I really don't want any gaps. I think that's about perfect. So I'm going to keep that there. This little back piece here, we're going to bend down. And I didn't bend it down all the way because I'm going to bring these guys around and connect them. Bend you flat, just like that. Take you back. Bend you flat. Haha, looking good. Looking really good. Okay, now all of these tabs are bent down. Now I'm actually going back and kind of giving this some more shape. And this, I'm hoping, is going to put a little bit more pressure on the tabs themselves, so the piece actually wants to stay together. And the tabs are more or less there just to kind of hold it in place, not to actually support anything. Little bits of metal on the outside, do that on either side. Okay, there we go. All right, we're all set there. Now we can work on part 39. Put this down here. And we're going to need part 42 to give us a hand. Ooh. Now with part 40, just like the previous ones, we're spinning it all down. Real simple. Great. To the other side. The back tab here, we're going to go up. All right. And the other one here too. So this one here. Cool. Tab up. All right, now we can put them on to part 39 here. And again, you can actually see the outline of where these are supposed to go, so it's pretty simple to find out exactly where they go on part 39. There we go. Looking good, looking good. All right, now we're going to be grabbing part 42. This is our like kind of weird bag thing that goes on the back of the our speeder here. Now this is an interesting thing. The way they have us doing this is kind of taking a little bit of this and going back. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually like curve it. And yeah, I could be using my other tools to do this probably better, but I want to try doing it without it. Okay, now we got that little bend started there on the front, which makes a little bit more sense than it did before. What I'm going to do is now put it into its place. Oh, wrong piece here. This guy right here. Okay. And we're in place, and these are secured with also a bend, interestingly enough. This part is going nowhere. All right, now with that done, what we do We take this top part. We roll it in. All right, I think that looks pretty good. I like the way this backpack is kind of constructed. I might want to go back a little bit later and kind of work on it. I mean, it's looking pretty good though. I mean, it looks like a bundle of stuff. I wish it would lay a little bit flatter. Maybe I need to use my tweezer or my pliers to really like bring her home. Now we can put our straps on. That's part 43 here. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to secure these as I do it for that exact reason that you saw right there. These are going to be a pain in the butt. Ooh, actually, that was pretty simple. Okay, that looks kind of cool. I like how the straps look on this. This is kind of neat. I'm gonna play with it after I'm done building everything and try to make it look really good. But I really do like how this looks. That's cool. That's cool. All right, we got that. We're good. Let's go ahead and slide this into the back now. To widen this guy up a little bit, just a little bit. And by just a little bit, you know I mean a lot. Man, getting in these ones here is a lot harder than I thought it would be. I'm having to really play this one up to get it in there. Huh. I don't want to overstress these parts too much. I got her in, but I feel like I stressed it a lot more than I needed to there. All right, there we go. Looking snazzy. Now we can put the seat on here. The seat is done actually very easily. All we're doing is we're going to take this little seat here and we're just going to bend it just ever so slightly here at the back. And we're going to bring this down. Sorry, we're going to do that. And we're going to bring it just like this. All we're doing, again, is just using the seat there, and we're using its edges to tell us how far we need to bend things. It's a really good indicator. There we go. All right. There we go. Got that seat in there. Looking all snazzy, if I do say so myself. Now let's get that little border in there. This border is actually pretty easy to form. It goes along the front. There we go. Excellent. Now that we got that little piece kind of in there. I hate that I kind of misformed it right there. I'm trying to kind of round it out a little bit nicer to make it look pretty. It looks not too bad, but I mean, it's a little disformed on the front. It kind of sucks. Go a little slower next time. You won't have those issues, but just be careful. The last piece here is also the smallest piece here. This looks like to be made into a box as well, so I'm going to do that. There we go. Now she's in there, and she is not going to be moving anytime soon. Oh no, I got this part off the top here again. This is not easy for me to do. There we go. All fixed. And looking pretty. But now, we need more parts. And there we go. We have our pieces to begin the work on the handlebars of our speeder bike. Now the first thing we're going to be doing is actually finishing off the front end here with this little bit of detail. Pretty easy to form. It's basically just a rectangle. Just going to take that little piece there, bend her back. Nice. Okay, and there we go. That detail looks pretty good. Let's just straighten it up a little bit. All right, awesome. Now we gotta add our next little bit of detail on, and that's part 48. 48's right here, there we go. And now, this is a simple cylinder. I'm gonna use my mandrels again here to give me a hand. Start big, go small. I'm going to put the cut in towards the middle here. Now I'm going to do a twist. Okay, there we go. She's on pretty solidly too. Now we can move on to forming our handles. This is part 49 and 50. Now we do this twice. I'm only going to show you this one time for the sake of time here. What we're going to start doing is just forming all of these edges down. You might need 2 pairs of tweezers to help you with this, again, just because all of this is so tiny, and you don't want to warp any of these handles because it will definitely take away from the end product. Let's see here. Take this edge down. There we go. Same with this one here. Again, I'm going to leave that little spot there in the middle, and I'm going to use both sides to help me shape it. But for right now, I just want to get this kind of shaped. There we go. Man, I am shaky this morning. All right, there we go. Okay, now we've got pretty much all of the edges shaped. Now we just got to form the rounded detail. And the way I'm going to do this is just using those small bends again. And I'm going to use the circle here as my reference to know how much to bend each part. Now it is key here to remember that you don't want to bend too much, and you have to bend every piece of the metal. So if it's best for you to start at the very tip and maybe give that a little bit of a bend first and then move everything into place, that might be best. It all depends on the kind of tweezers you have and the way you're going to be going about bending this detail. You could have also used a forming tool. You know, these are pretty small, so I would say if you took like a, let me think about this, maybe like a toothpick and cut it in half, or yeah, took off the one pointed end and use that. That would be a really good tool to help you with this. Again, you'll see me just bending a little tip down more, and that's just because, again, we're going to be connecting them here. Great. There we go. Our first little handle all formed. Now what we need to do is bend this guy down here and make sure all of our tabs are down. Looks good to me. All right, let's start part 50. Part 50. Now part 50 is basically the female end of the other side. What I'm going to do here though, just to make my life a little easier, is I'm going to form this handle, because this is actually the handle that we're going to be using on our bike. It's the main one that's like the throttle. So we want to make sure this is nice and rounded. I bent the one cylinder out of the way, and now I'm going to bend only this cylinder. One second. All right, and there we go. We got that nice cylinder. So now I'm just going to cap it like this. And now we can move into adding part 49 on to part 50. This might be a little bit difficult, but I'm sure that we can work it out. Just let me see if I can figure out how this goes together. Now we know. So if you see silver on your handlebars, you know that you got your parts kind of reversed there. Okay. There we go. There's our handlebar. See, looks way better now. I'm going to go ahead and put this down and get the other one all connected together. It's good to know that we got those mixed up. I feel a lot better about this. Let's go ahead and fast forward to where I have this one complete. Whew. Tricky. That is a tricky move with that piece, but now that handlebar is complete, let's go ahead and try installing this onto our bike. Okay. Alright, getting that in there was not easy. What I'm going to do now is press and then twist. And I'm going to do the same thing up here, press and twist. Now I got that in there, I'm going to straighten this out to make it look pretty. There we go, though. Not bad at all. Looking pretty good. Let's do the other side now. Put this guy down. And as we just found out, well, we got to form this little handle here first. This handle is a pain in the booty, but we're going to get it done. Okay. Now we're going to bring, the key here is bring this whole thing down first and then kind of fold her in like that. Again, we're going to just twist these the best we possibly can. You really want a good connection on these handlebars. You don't want them moving around on you. So make sure you get a really good connection. And then once you do that, we can start working on how these guys are supposed to look, because they're going to need a little bit of forming. There we go. See? Looking pretty good already. This guy here is a little bit lower. Again, we can work on this. We can get it looking really good, but I don't want to move him around too much right now. I want to wait till we have something a little bit better. Okay, let's move on to our next part, which is part 53. Okay, now with this guy here, we're not going to do a whole lot just yet. I am going to go and just slightly bend this right here just to kind of give me that little bit of knowledge of where that bend is. See, very small bend, just a small little bend there to let it know that I know where it is. Now the next thing we're going to be doing is adding a little tiny bit of detail. Now be very careful handling this small bit of detail because whoo, you don't want to lose it. Now I'm going to bend this little tab down there. Same thing with the other side, of course making sure that you're using the engraved side. And then we're going to bend the other side, just like that. Cool. Now here comes the fun part, getting it inside of the insertion holes. There we go. Let's push, 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 push. Awesome. Now that we have that done and we have that little bend started, what we're going to do is we're actually going to commit to some pretty serious bends here. The first thing we're going to do is kind of bend this, but we're going to try to avoid putting any major stress marks inside of the metal. And then we're also going to bend this down too. Okay, kind of like that. Now in a moment here, we're going to see if that was too much or not. We're going to do everything up and see how it looks. Now, okay, there we go. I like the way this looks. I think I do. Let's see if we can put it onto our body. Now this should go just like this. There we go. Back piece is in. All right, and now the next thing we need to do is do the other side. So exactly what we just did there again, we're gonna do a little bend here on the side, turning it over so we can see where we're supposed to kind of get that done. Let's do a little one there first to get it started. We know that we're gonna be bending this guy down a little bit later too, so we're gonna put a little bit more of a bend in there. Let that kind of round out. We don't want any of those really harsh sides if we can avoid them. Okay, where's that little tiny Bit of detail right here. Okay. Give a little bit of love right there. And there's our second piece formed up. Let's put this butt on here. Same thing as before. I'm going to push the piece as hard as I can, and then I'm going to twist those tabs. Again, pushing and twist those tabs. There we go. Cool. All right. Now we're going to need more parts. Okay, our clippers are away and we have all of our parts needed to build ourselves a speeder bike. Now, the next few phases are a little bit complicated because we're going to be attaching all the pieces we built from before together. And this is a part you really want to take slowly, especially if you don't want to accidentally misform some of that really cool detail that we already formed. Okay, let's grab our body here, and we're also going to grab our top piece. Now, the important thing to know is that the majority of the pieces are actually twisted, so we only have to worry about the front being bent. Now, I think because we are going to be working with the front a little bit more, I'm going to attach those ones first to see if it makes it easier for me on the left side. Boom and boom. Okay. All right, there is our sides connected. That was a little bit more complicated than I was expecting, to be totally frank. You know, I really thought that was going to be easy. I was wrong. And the little back tabs here gave me a little bit more trouble than I thought they would. But now that everything is connected and both sides are bent, oop, I forgot a tab right here. Okay, now that all the sides are bent, we're going to go and bend these really weird sides in, and we're going to follow the sides as we do this, going one at a time. Do not put too much pressure on the bottom here. Remember, you do have some spots that do have detail. That detail will break if you put too much pressure on it. Man, this tab, there we go. That was not easy, and I don't like how movable that is. I hope that we get something in a moment here that will really secure it down. That's not my friend. But again, I'm going to do more work with this once we get other pieces attached to it. I think that would be the better move. Right now, let's try to get this other side in here again. Being, again, very careful not to accidentally break any pieces. Jeez. I feel like this back is so unnecessarily, what's the word I'm looking for? Fragile. Okay. All right. I think that is everything so far. That looks really cool, and it definitely looks more and more like the speeder bike with every piece we add. Now we got to put a little bit of detail on the back, and hopefully this will stabilize everything. This is part 56, and what we want to do, turn it around, of course, and then we're going to form this just like so. We're going to take this bottom right here, and we're going to just push it up. Really simple stuff. Really simple stuff. Now we're going to add this onto our back. Let me see here. All right. I think I got her where I like her. Okay, I think this is good. Now we need to move on to our next spot here. Oh, we need to do this back here just a little bit. Boom. Line her up. Bring her back. And then bend that down just a little bit. There we go. Cool. Okay, let's put this down very carefully. And we're going to grab part 57 here. Part 57 is a pretty simple thing to do. We're going to flip it over to the non-engraved side, and we're just going to kind of bend this up a little bit, but we're going to be very careful as we do it. Again, we don't want any of those hot spots to form as we're making some more rounded shapes here. Just make sure you go all the way around as we do this. There we go. Excellent. Same thing with the side here. Gonna bend these guys down here. I'm really just trying to match these edges the best I can without getting a hot spot. Okay. And now we're gonna fold all these guys up too. Okay, cool. Now we have this all done. We can add that little machine gun in here. Pretty neat little thing this is. Again, we want to bend towards the engraved side. That's a key thing. Just like that. Okay, there we go. Looking pretty good. Now let's just do this here. Oh man, this is going to be challenging. I'm going to actually pull these panels back out a little bit, and then we'll tuck them in after. Because if you look where this has to go, these little tiny pieces that we bent a long time ago now have to fit into either side, and I think that putting these in is going to be easier said than done. And we also have that center one to do too. So let's see how long this takes. We're going to push really hard, bend that over, push really hard, bend that over, push really hard, bend that back. There we go. Cool, cool, cool. I like that a lot. And with that, actually, I think we're done our speeder bike. That looks really cool. We need to do the stand. And what I really appreciate about these new stands from Metal Earth is that they don't actually attach to the model. They allow for something that's more of like a free-floating thing. Looks really good, and definitely a major improvement from the originals that we had back in the day. All right, let's bend this back here. And what I'm doing is just matching everything. Now, this back here, there's a little area, and let's get you guys together. Come on now. All right, I'm accidentally scraping some of this black paint off. That is by accident. I think it's just because of the fact that my tweezers are almost slipping a little bit when I'm bending them, but there we go. That little part of the stand, and this little section here, if I can pick it up. Same thing as before. Luckily, this centerpiece here is pretty thick, and it almost fits perfect around my tweezers, so. Bend that little back piece up there, match it up, make it look pretty. That little half moon there goes towards the front. Okay, there we go. Last piece of our build here, ladies and gentlemen, the last piece of our build. And what we're going to do is attach it to the center here. Okay. All right. think it'd be easier for me just to use my my rounding doming set here to get a nice little shape, as opposed to me trying to do a freehand form. Okay, look at that. Looks very cool. Now, if everything lines up, if everything's the way it's supposed to be, this little speeder bike here should sit on top. Let's see here. Actually, don't know how it's supposed to go. There we go. Right in the center there is how that's supposed to look. And man, this build does look really awesome when complete. I mean, just all the detail there, that looks really good. All right. The Metal Earth Speeder Bike.